The location of the Jugal is quite strange. They're probably the closest mountains to Kathmandu. In fact, that the mountain we climbed is possibly the nearest 6,000 metre peak to Kathmandu itself. It's got no 8,000 metre peaks to pull in the climbers and the tourists. So despite the proximity to civilization, it's actually really unvisited. The objective came around as a result of just spending too much time on Google Earth, mainly during the lockdown. So the approach to Jugal starts pretty low down. So we're kind of just in the low country of Nepal, and it's so hot and humid, and not my best conditions, to be honest, hot and humid. Hopefully we'll get some height soon and things will cool down. I first met Tim, I think about 7 years ago. We were climbing on Ben Nevis and basically bummed a lift back to his house, and we couldn't really say no. So we gave him a lift home. He lived down near Glasgow. And then I've bumped into him occasionally since then on the hills.
I got a lift back to Glasgow with him, and he's like telling me all these stories about how he was hitchhiking when he was younger and doing all these trips and stuff, and then eventually realised it was Paul. Just very sort of chilled out, laid back manner, and kind of playing down what they'd done and stuff. I thought it was all quite cool. There was definitely like sort of a mentor sort of role that Paul was in, and I was like an apprentice sort of role. And I definitely learnt a huge amount on the trip.
So, young Tim.
Yep.
It's day 16 of the expedition.
Yeah.
It's the first day we're not on schedule, and we're starting the tent in the rain.
As you can hear.
So, what do you reckon about sitting around in the rain, reading books?
Well, I've read all my books, and I'm on to maybe the second of Paul's now. So I'm running out, so hopefully we get climbing soon.
I think developing young mountaineers is really important. The thing that would traditionally happen in climbing is you would be following your immediate predecessors. You'd meet them down the pub, etc., and you'd get ideas from them, and you'd go on an expedition. Because often those two generations don't naturally meet up, so it takes quite a lot of effort to do that. My first expedition was when I was 19, and I've been nearly every year on an expedition since I was 19, so that's now 33 years. I'm notoriously picky about who I climb with, so I hardly climb. I have a very small range of people that I do climb with. I have to trust the person I'm climbing with and trust their judgment.
Well, we're both sat baking in the sun in the bivvy tent under the route. It's a long approach to the route. Took sort of two days to get here really, and we just kind of didn't really look at the route because it looks so monumentally steep and ridiculous. It's hard to comprehend that there's going to be a line up it. Hopefully we'll have a good frost tonight, and then we'll hit the route at dawn tomorrow morning.
The whole face is just like steep granite walls, and then just going from bottom right to top left is this ramp of ice. First day was like a pretty big day. I think we were just like raring to go. It was all like quite straightforward climbing. You're mostly just traversing kind of upwards and leftwards on this sort of ramp. Towards the end of the day, we'd done like 13 pitches, I think, and then we found this perfect little ledge beneath an overhang, so we were totally sheltered from stuff above, and we could put the tent on this ledge, and we were able to just look around the corner and we could see this vertical chimney section that we'd seen through binoculars.
Probably climb like a third of the face or something, so I think we both feel pretty bollocksed. But we've managed to reach a nice, or what could become a nice bivvy. We've got a bit of a cave above us, and a bit of snow which could be flattened out to put a tent up, and around the corner is what we think is the crux of the route, which is this kind of chimney that we noticed from miles away, and we weren't sure how steep it was, but I've had a wee look and it might be possible.
Yeah, might be possible is good in my books. Yeah, I don't need anything more than that.
Yeah, but now it's time for a drink and a rest, I think.
What, you mean you're tired?
I'm quite tired.
Oh, the youth of today. All I can say is youth, old man over here is absolutely knackered.
The chimney in the centre, we call it the crux. It may have not been the hardest climbing, but it was the most strenuous climbing. And I've never done anything like it on a big mountain. We were climbing inside this chimney for about 100 metres in a squeeze chimney, which kind of, in one level, is kind of safe-ish because you were wedged in the chimney, but there was no protection because it was too big for any of our cams. You couldn't wear a rucksack, obviously, so to squeeze up the chimney and then get 2 rucksacks up the chimney was a nightmare.
The chimney pitches are like quite Scottish in style, which is quite good because that's probably what I've done most of. But there's still probably half the face to climb. This is us at the end of day 3 with ourselves perched on Paul's snow hammock, which we've built into the side of the snow slope, and we're maybe just under 1,000 metres or something off the glacier below. That evening it started snowing quite a bit while we were having dinner, and then it all started sloughing off and spin drifting down the gap between the tent and then the ice wall.
So Tim, explain what's happened in the last few hours.
Well, we made a really lovely kind of bivy ledge with Paul's tarp to kind of extend the snow slope and put a tent on it. And we had dinner and got ourselves all sorted for the evening. And then, just as we were about to go to bed, big pile of spin drift kind of came down between the tent and the wall and kind of started pushing the tent outwards. So we had to start digging the spin drift out, which turned into basically a couple of hours of standing outside. And then eventually we found out if we just leant the tent into the ground and just let the snow cover it, it didn't really matter. So we just kind of sat outside for several hours while it snowed and stuff. And now we've just got back into the tent, and there's quite a lot of snow in here. We've taken all the poles out, we've kind of clipped ourselves in, and we're just going to probably sit here till the morning and then decide what to do at that point.
And you forgot to mention the big rip in the tent.
Oh yeah, there's a rip in the tent because of the force of the snow.
Yeah, endless fun.
Great.
Felt quite surreal because you just got your head torch off, kind of being pummeled by spin drift in this random peak in Nepal, which kind of felt quite full on but quite exciting.
The bivvies on the route were the full mixture, but generally slept well.
I think the next day we only did about 150 metres of climbing because we were just knackered. And then, the 4th day was a big one because then we had these another kind of 3 trickier pitches which got us off the main face and onto the final snow slope. The altitude just hit us. I just remember clipping a quick draw in and then just sitting slumped on a quick draw in the ice axe for a few minutes, and you'd be breathing really heavily, and then do a few more and then do the same again. And thankfully, just maybe 50 metres below the top, we found this cave that we could roll into, maybe only kind of 3 foot high, and we were pretty exhausted by that point.
Morning Tim.
Morning.
How are you feeling today?
Combination of cold and tired and exhausted.
Where are we?
Probably about 50 metres below the top, and just under this giant boulder that we found in this kind of ice cave. So we're just going to head up to the top after we've had some tea, and then hopefully make our way down this morning.
Yeah.
This is day 5, so we're both feeling pretty knackered now, I think.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to my cup of tea in a minute, and then we can hit the road and hopefully summit and get down.
Yeah.
We just did 2 pretty easy pitches out of the cave, and then we were basically onto this little shoulder below the summit, and then one last pitch up to the top, which was dead easy, and then we were standing on the summit for 8 in the morning or something, so that was pretty cool.
This is it, Tim.
Oh boy,
The summit of the peak with no name.
something or other.
It's quite exhausting, isn't it?
That's all I feel. I can feel later on.
Oh dear.
I feel quite exhausted just now.
The descent was really very straightforward, short descent down the south face, and then we got into a gully that descended in a straight line. It was a short day to get down, which was really nice.
I remember Paul saying when we were on the glacier, like he's done like hundreds of trips and this is one of his best ones. Felt pretty lucky, got like a really good one.